Now we come to a verse. It's astonishing to me to discover how many commentaries fail to appreciate what this verse really says. So this has become one of my favorite verses in terms of eschatology, study of the last things. Hosea 5:15, God speaking through Hosea. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me earnestly. Wow, let's take that apart here. This is a remarkable verse. God says, I will go and return to my place. That must mean he left it. In order to return, he must have left it, right? This implies that God is involved in two comings. He had to come once in order to return, but he's going to go and return until something else happens, which means he's coming again. Follow me? It involves a plurality of comings. This is the Old Testament. The last verse of the fifth chapter of Hosea. God speaks, I will go and return to my place. For how long? Until, what? By the way, remember what John 1:11 says, speaking of Jesus. He came into his own, but his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God. Because they didn't receive him, what does he do? He returned to the right hand of the Father. Right? Psalm 110 predicted that. Until they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. He will even now the word offense here is singular and specific. And no less a scholar than Arnold Fruchtenbaum highlighted that for me. It's singular and specific. There's a specific offense they have to repent of and acknowledge. And they have to seek his face. This establishes a prerequisite condition for the second coming of Christ. In order for Jesus to come back in power to establish his kingdom, they have to ask him. They have to repent of rejecting him, and they have to petition his return. Ooh. That's a prerequisite condition. Not for the rapture, that's a whole different thing. For this, the second coming of Christ. Before he can return for the Jews, they have to petition him. That's what it says. Why? In their affliction, they will seek me earnestly. The Great Tribulation, as we call it, was so labeled by Jesus Christ himself, quoting from Daniel 12, the first verse of Daniel 12, back in Matthew 24:20, in the Olivet Discourse, in verse 22 of Matthew 24. He quotes Daniel 12 that there will be a time of trouble such as the world had never seen to that time. Well, if you're familiar with the Holocaust and Yad Vashem, the idea that that's going to happen again, yes. The first Holocaust is estimated, the Holocaust in Germany, killed 1 Jew out of 3. 1/3 of Judaism perished in the ovens and so on. Zechariah 13, verse 8 and 9 indicates that the next one will take 2 out of 3. In their affliction, they will seek me earnestly. The word there is early in the King James. That's a mistranslation. Shakar means to seek early or earnestly, to look eagerly or diligently for. It should be, they will seek me earnestly, diligently, not just early in a time sense, in other words. And this will not only occur, it will be the purpose of the Great Tribulation. The purpose of that whole thing is expressed right here. It's to drive them into the wall, so to speak, so that they will acknowledge their offense and petition is coming back. And this, to me, when I first began to realize this, lifted a fog that confused me for years. Jesus Christ, God had his victory on the cross, right? You can understand why Satan, throughout the whole biblical history, is trying to thwart the Messiah. You can study the Bible from all the way through. As God's plan gets revealed, Satan is able to zigzag and try to thwart it. Okay. When you get to the cross, you figure, oh, that's it. Christ has won. Why is he still at it? I think because of this verse. If he can wipe out the believing Jews, they won't be able to petition his return, and he will thwart the plan. Suddenly I understand why Satan is still at it, specifically targeting not just the Jews, but the believing Jews especially. because it's in his mind, he thinks he can thwart God's plan that way. Suddenly, the warfare, the rules of engagement become clearer. This whole thing will be a subject of our next chapter.